Moses was mistaken as an Egyptian. Shaul was mistaken as an Egyptian. But just because you have that phenotype doesn't necessarily mean you have the same haploid group or haplotype. Are you still with me? Alright, so let's go deeper into this now. So, we were reading Wikipedia, which checking this E1B1a haploid group. I'll start again because we've went into something else. It says, in human genetics, haploid group E-V38 is a human Y chromosome DNA haploid group. It is the phylogenetic term for the series of unique sequence variants on the human Y chromosome. So different variations of this Y chromosome. Stay with me now, don't lose me now. Y chromosome, what's the Y chromosome? That's what determines if you're male. Okay? So this haploid group is a different variation. So when you look at the African, right, they come from a specific haploid group that's going to be completely different from a Hebrew. Because remember, it's the seed, the sperm. So if like going back to that whole argument now, when a white man sleeps with a black woman, that's why with most of you, when you look at the breakdown, the charts now, right, and the charts today that most Israelite groups are using is very simplistic. And you look at some of the brothers, the Puerto Ricans, the Tayanos, the Mexican Aztecs, the original Mexicans and the original Tayanos were black. So think about it before you guys start to just choose anyone into your group. If they were black, right? Let's assume now they were raped, not assume because that's what happened, raped by white men. Not all of them, because we know that they will have been producing seed amongst themselves. But think about it. If they produce seed among themselves and they were black, they will stay black. Is that complicated to see? They will stay black. The dominant gene will keep on going. But if a white man was to rape a black woman, then that's part of that initial stage. Because what you got to see with this is where genetics gets it all wrong. With what the white man's genetics is, there's different layers to genetics. There's the physical layer, there's the spiritual layer, and there's the soul layer. Okay, so there's 3 layers now, right? The first layer, observable traits. A woman and a man sleep together. So you're going to take some from, if it's a white woman, you see some traits. The baby might come out with blue eyes and green eyes and be a black boy. You know, because he got some from the mother, got some from the father. Right? But that's the distribution, right, of the physical, the phenotypes. But the underlying information that makes the characteristics of that person, which we're talking about, the soul of the person. So they say we so-called Negroes, we have soul. Right? Because we're solar beings. We have soul. Most of these other creatures are lunar beings. Right? Okay, I'm not going to go into that as digressing. But yeah, you know, so the soul that makes us, right? That's why they can never understand this part of genetics. Right? So the characteristics now, most of the characteristics comes from, they can come, your soul, your characteristics, if it's a black woman, can draw characteristics from the soul of the black woman. That's why you see some so-called mixed race people, even though they have white dads and a black mother, they still have the soul of a black man. But the spirit comes 100% from the Father. Okay, and that's why hence you have genealogy flowing down, and we're going to explain that even deeper when we go into the story of Onan, how his seed, right, when Onan spilled his seed, he spilled his seed because the seed was going to belong to his brother. How can his seed belong to his brother? If he slept with a woman, right, he's gonna give 23 chromosomes, the woman will give 23 chromosomes, the baby will look like either one of them, have different characteristics of both of them, but the spirit would be of the brother. Are you getting that? Okay, so before we go into the different layers, let's just keep on reading. Right, so we can see that the scientists are not disproving it. What they do is that they have a limitation. There's certain things they're observing, but they can't quite explain it. So they keep on trying and testing, and as they keep on growing in their knowledge, as different theories kind of like when they see that different theories come to disprove the other theories they have, then they'll have to make a new thesis. Well, most of the times they don't, because to make a new thesis, because like now they know that genetics is on a flawed foundations. Are they trying to change the curriculum? No, they're not. They still teach you that, but in a deeper sense, they know what's really going on. Like for instance, your atomic theory. Are they trying to change that in schools? No, they're not. But if you go into advanced physics, you know that atomic theory needs to be completely scrapped, because we're talking about string theory. We're talking about vibrations of elements. Everything around you is vibrating. It's about vibrations. Okay, so nothing is still. An atom can exist in multiple places at the same time and draw from different dimensions at the same time. So they know this. So when they make all these movies that they're giving you, they know all of this stuff, but they just keep it to elite people, because they're not trying to teach you. Got to understand education. They're not trying to teach you anything that's going to advance you as a nation. They're just trying to teach you what enough to keep you in the structure they've already built, to keep you in conformity to a system. And this system is not for you. I don't need to explain that part. Okay, so let's go back and keep on reading this. Right, let's carry on. It is often found in African males and their descendants. This is not an European haplogroup. Okay, it's often found in African males and their descendants. Right? And hereby, and we're going to look, we're going to go break down the percentages. When it talks about African, we're going to break down, it's going to break down Egypt, it's going to break down Somalia, it's going to break down all of that. I'm going to read that, you know, and you guys are going to be patient, and let's just deal with this intensely, okay? Alright, so we can just clear this up. You hopefully pull it up on Wikipedia, and you can follow me as well. Right? So you can look at it and you can see, just like we saw earlier, when you check the archaeological proof, right? Archaeologists have shown that the skull of a Negro is completely different to the skull of an Egyptian. So let's not get that twisted at all, you know, but we're still on this slavery Malaki thing, right? So what I'm trying to show, let's just finish that point so that I don't digress too far from that, so you can, just for you, those of you that are still following me. You know, when I said if a black woman is raped by a white man, like in slavery, right? Think about it. So on the surface level, like we talk about the 3 different layers, on the surface level, right, they're going to have the same phenotype as their father and mother, right? But what's the phenotype that you're getting? You're getting the white skin, okay? So that phenotype is not to be dismissed, okay? That the appearance is not to be dismissed. Because in dismissing the appearance, and in John chapter 7 verse 24, it wasn't talking, when he says don't judge according to your appearance, it wasn't speaking about that. It's the same thing he was speaking about in Deuteronomy chapter 1, which we'll deal with afterwards. The appearance is speaking about something completely different. Because when you look at the context, it wasn't speaking about physical appearance. No, it was talking about something completely different. Okay? But we'll deal with that afterwards. But the appearance is very important. The color of your skin is important. Because if you mix up white and a black person, right? You now, if you're seeing a Taino that's completely pale skinned, right? You can't now tell me that that person there's a likelihood that that person is a Hebrew. There's more likelihood that they're not Hebrew, because we know about the mixing up of the seed. So who's going to be doing the raping? The fathers were the ones doing the raping. Someone would say, oh yeah, but the Tainos were coming together, which is true. They will have been mixing up amongst themselves. In fact, they'll be breeded amongst themselves. But if they breed amongst themselves, 2 black people are not going to give birth to a pale skinned person. If they do, it will be an albino, which is also a malfunction, but that's not the norm. Okay, so if all the Tainos that you're seeing today are all light skinned, there's something wrong there. if all your Native Americans that you see today are all pale skinned, are they really God? Just like the Arabs that you see today are products of the Ottoman Empire. Who is their father? The fathers are the Greeks. Because Hagar was a black woman, an Egyptian, with a black man, Abraham, coming together, they will have a black baby, a jet black baby. So the Arabs, the real Arabs are your Fulanis, your Watosis, your Hausas. Your real Egyptians are your Somalians, not the pale-skinned people. So if we can use that same concept in Africa, why can't we apply those same concepts for the people that went in the transatlantic slave trade? But like, obviously, the main part, main way, it's not about just checking the color of the skin. We're talking about the spirit. But for the main part of it, right, it goes back to families. But we know that people that were taking transatlantic slave trade, most of them lost their families. They lost their family names, which will have tied them to a specific family. So if you're able, there's a good way to check. If you're able to check your haploid group, if you want to go on the DNA route, we know what your haploid group is. The main haploid group is E-V38, but your haploid type, specifically for the Igbos, is E1B1a. That's a specific haploid group for Igbos. Okay, right. So let's just keep on going. I hope I've cleared that part of it. Remember, like I said on Facebook, if you guys are following me on this, ask your questions. Let's deal with it. Okay, so don't just take my word for it. If you have a question, if you don't understand something, ask it. Because I'm teaching, assuming that you're following me, assuming that I'm covering it. But if there's raising up questions in your mind, feel free to ask your questions. Okay, that's what this whole thing is all about. Let's just let's get this back up. Okay, so let's keep on reading this Wikipedia thing. So it says, this E-V38 is often found in African males and their descendants and is heritably passed in lineage from father to son. This is your geneticist telling you that. The same people that told you 23 chromosomes come from your father and 23 chromosomes come from your mother. What are they telling you in telling you that? They tell you that specific phenotypes will come from your father and your mother, which we know already. But these haplotypes, which come specifically from your sperm, your seed, come as transferred through different, are heritable, are passed by through the lineage from father to son. Geneticists study these variants in populations to find the evolutionary lineage. Where do you come from? Geneticists know that this is important. Why do you think they keep going intensively into all of these stuff? They know who you are. They don't want you to know who you are, because they don't want you to know the importance of knowing who you are. Okay? Right, let's keep going. To a common human male ancestor, right? That's the African gene. Okay, let's just keep going. It can also be referred to as a phylogenetic nomenclature. Nomenclature just means a way of naming things, right? By names such as E1B1a. Why did they have to specifically put that there? Because the original man, E1B1a, was a Hebrew. Adam was a Hebrew. Well, obviously, when I say Adam was a Hebrew, obviously Hebrew came afterwards, because Hebrew comes from the word Eba, which was Shem. But we know that everything was wiped out. So we're talking about pre-flood, post-flood. So when I was Hebrew, he was of a specific seed. So when all of the earth was wiped out by the flood and then restarted again by the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth, and through those 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the whole earth is dispersed. Right? We know that it's the regeneration of the same spirits on the earth, but we're not going to regeneration of spirits right now. But what I'm saying is this is distribution of the same seed. The Most High is preserving. He's chosen a specific people, right? But they put it that E1B1a. So if you're a Hebrew, that's your haploid type. Okay, you're Hebrew. You're the so-called Negroes today. Okay, we're like the same people that were taken in transatlantic slave trade. But when we go into the complete breakdown, let's go down right now. Actually, let's read the next paragraph, and then we'll flow down to the actual breakdown of the chart, because we don't want to make this too long. I'm trying to keep it as concise as possible, but because the information is it's a lot of information, they can go even deeper, because this is what I studied. I studied medical genetics, human genetics, okay? So I can go even deeper into it, into population distribution, but we're not going to go too much into that. We're just going to touch on the surface level, because we don't even need to know much of that. We know what we need to do. We need to come together as a people. You get what I'm saying? As a nation, we'll do some serious genetic stuff, because this stuff is important as well. Okay, but we're not going to be dealing with the depth of it right now. We're just dealing with the main things that we need, to be able to identify ourselves and group ourselves together and come together. Okay, so you know who your brother is. Your brother is not all nations. Okay, if not, you won't need to have a last name. You won't need to have a specific last name. So why they always trying to give you another person's last name and try to confuse you and make you think that it's not important to have your own identity, but they want to give you their identity. Wake up. Okay, E-V38 has two basal branches, like I said, that main African, haploid group. E-V38 has two basal branches. Pay attention. EM329 and EM2. The former, that's EM2, is the most exclusive, almost exclusively found in Ethiopia. That's a different, haploid type. That's not our haploid type. Those are Ham. It's a family of Ham. The EM2 branches are found predominantly in lineage in North Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, South Africa, and the southern parts of East Africa. Because even in West Africa, like you see the Hausas, they have that same genes. They're not our people. They're the ones that were fighting in 1967 to 1970. They killed 3 million of my people for trying to come out. Until today, we're still trying to come out as our own nation. Just research about the Biafra. Most people don't even know about Biafra. We are the Hebrews. Okay, so the Hausas are not the Hebrews, even though we're in the same nation called Niger area, Nigeria. We're not the same people. Okay, the Cameroonians, which have been cut off, and now through colonialism they speak French, right, are actually my brothers. So in calling yourself a Nigerian, you're cutting your real brothers, who are the Cameroonians and the Congolese, and you're attaching yourself to the Hausas, who are not your brothers. Custom-wise, they're not our brothers. We circumcise ourselves on the 8th day. They don't circumcise themselves. All of our customs and our ways, they don't keep none of that. Okay, so yeah, that's just some information for you to know. Okay, let's go down, because all of that stuff, you gotta remember, these scientists as well, they're confused themselves as well. So they'll bring things based on their limited knowledge, but I'm just showing you the places where they merge with our understanding. That's the main thing I want to get, because we can go through all the the long stuff that they're going through. Like, for instance, they're saying stuff like, let's just read this here. It says, these later people migrated from southeast Nigeria, okay, southeast Nigeria and Cameroon, 8.0 KYA, to Central Africa, the migration of our people. Okay, southeast Nigeria, Biafra, not the whole of Nigeria. They didn't say north of Nigeria, southeast Nigeria and Cameroon. Like I just told you right now, it's like the spirit leading me to that. I told the Cameroonians and my brother, this is Biafra. The region where Cameroon is now is where Biafra is. Okay, and Central Africa, East Africa, and Southern Africa. South Africans, the Zulus, Lemba tribe. Okay, causing or flowing the Bantu expansion. So for those of you that talk about our people settling in the Nile River, the Bantu expansion, that was us. And why is it that we kept flowing through the rivers? Is because we remember the Exodus. Remember when our forefathers, when Moses parted the Red Sea, so we're always staying close to the waters whenever it came to the times of redemption. So when we were fleeing, we always following the waters. That's why the Nile Valley civilization was us. Okay? So for you Kemetic brothers, you just need to get off that nonsense, man. Right. That's why I'm going to the science of it now. So you can see that we go into science. We're not dummies like you think we are, we're just hidden in religion or coming from a Christian point of view. No, we deal with the truth. 100. Okay. let's go down now. Let's now go to the population groups and their frequencies. That's the main part, like population distribution. I'm only going to touch on it like just a little bit. Just give the frequency is just the percentages of these people distributed. So we're talking about specific haploid type, right? What is the distribution of this haplotype and where? What percentage are in certain regions? We know that it's mixing everywhere, but there's a specific percentage. Like if you go to Nigeria, like I said, the southeast Nigeria is going to be predominantly the Igbos. Okay, but that doesn't mean that you won't find Hausas there now and again, or other people, other tribes, you know, but predominantly they're going to be our people there. You get what I'm saying? So what percentages of these people are there? What was the frequency? That's the word they use. Okay, right, we're going to start off with the incidence of the E-V38. Okay, population group, Niger, 44.4%, Burkina Faso, 16.6%, Mali, 9.1%, because the Sudan, most of them are actually the original Arabs, you know, but there's also our people like Morocco, the Moors. The word Moors comes from Morocco when our people fled into that region. You can see all of this in the Babylon to Timbuktu. Okay, so we draw a name from that, but that doesn't mean that we're Moroccans. There's a remnant of our people that were there because we ran into those regions. Okay, we came out from those regions more like, alright, or we dispersed into those different regions and we came out. So there's our people are in Mali as well, but for the majority part of it, those regions are not our people. Okay, let's go down. So it says Morocco, 6.8. Like I said to you, Morocco, there's a remnant of our people there, but not all our people. It says Algeria, like I have a breakdown, but I'm going to post it on. So what you people have, what most African Americans have as a breakdown chart for the 12 tribes is very simplistic. When you see in Ezekiel chapter 37, it says for Ezekiah to take, we don't use L, you know, for Ezekiah to take 2 sticks, one for the house of Yahweh and one for Ephraim, one for Judah and one for Ephraim, one for Judah and the rest of his companions, for the rest of Israel his companions. So the rest of Israel his companions, you know, Judah, when you see in 1 Kings chapter 11, you know, when the kingdom was split, you had Judah, Benjamin, and later on the Levites joined them. Okay, so I'm not going to go into that so I don't divert. But you know, another teaching, maybe I'll just show you how the kingdom was split to the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. And then you had in the northern kingdom you had Ephraim, which was the rest of the 10 tribes. Okay, who were cut off and they were taken on by Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, and that's why they were cut off for the most part. That's why you see like Samaria in Isaiah chapter 7 verse 9. Samaria is the head of Ephraim, but like you see the Samaritan woman at the well, you know, when Yeshua came to her, you know, she was like, you know, are you greater than my father's Jacob? Because they are Ephraim, they're the children of Yasharallah. Okay, but he says salvation comes from the Jew, because the lion of the tribe of Yahweh is Yeshua, and he was showing that he is the salvation has come to save them. So that's why he came for the lost sheep of the house of Yasharallah, because they were cut off and they were keeping pagan customs. Okay, so the Jews, our people, were scattered amongst the Gentiles, were also called Gentiles too. Okay, right. So part of these people that are scattered now are in the Arab nations. So that's why I say it's a simplistic. So I have a different breakdown which I'm going to post in this video. You know, so when you have Judah, you have Yahweh, Benjamin, and Levi. Okay, so that Yahweh will represent the African Americans, the Negroes, as we know. You know,